In this episode, we find Sheikh Bond's Aston Martin. We find a Mercedes Pullman, but only for short people. And we find possibly the worst Bentley Arnage in the world. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode. This episode is going to be a little bit different because in the previous episode I was showing you some of the workshops, and a couple of people have come back to me and said, show us some more around the cars that are over there, some old classics that are there. So in this episode I'm going to show you some of the cars there. Still Aston Martin footage because there's an Aston Martin Lagonda which has the weirdest interior. You've got to check that out, and quite possibly the worst Bentley Arnage in the world. So prepare yourself for that. But let me show you around some of the other cars that they've got in here, and some of the quite nice special vehicles they have as well. So got the customary flying spur up on the ramp and the Continental GT, very popular obviously around here. Got a nice old Merc SL, a few other old Mercs. You guys have seen this before, I think, the G, the Phantom and the Lagonda. Now this Lagonda is actually up for sale. Bit of a sad story. The guy who owned it was a French guy. He ended up getting quite unwell, and I think the car's been here for about 10 years in the workshop. He got unwell, sold it to a colleague of his for a lot less than he paid for it. The colleague done a number of things on the inside as well, and mechanically it's near enough ready apparently. I don't really like the interior, to be honest. They've had it retrimmed, and not a huge fan. I'm not sure sort of how original it is. The other thing is that all these buttons, so if you guys are aware, there's the interiors, the electronics in these are absolute nightmare. You've got all those sorts of buttons that you can see just there. So what they've done is those buttons aren't working. Those touch buttons are not working, so they've replaced it with these buttons. But of course you don't know what any of this does, so it's a little bit crazy and it looks really bizarre. But yeah, I guess it's the cheaper option to trying to fix those buttons, which are a proper nightmare. So this car's actually for sale and I could buy this, but I decided not. I don't really want another big project car like this, and especially when it's now obviously not original anymore. Sunroof in place, and then the boot's quite a large boot considering. I mean, it's quite surprising. Quite a deep boot. Got a nice Rolls-Royce engine here, so yeah, it's quite a piece. There's the Tommaso in the corner. Let's see what else they have. I still love these 600 Pullman. The legroom in the back over there is tiny by the looks of it. That's really surprising. It must be in the sort of recline position or something like that, because that's not a lot of legroom. I'd be quite disappointed if that was me in the back of that. Let's see what they have over here. As if one wasn't enough, there's two. So here's another one, another 600 Pullman, and yeah, you can see there is a lot more legroom in the back. It's probably been pulled forward or something like that, where they're working on it. Spotted that over there. That's quite interesting. It's a McLaren. Looks like it's in for front bumper respray or something like that. So it's been all taped up as well. So I'll find out what this is in for actually, because it seems to be more than just a bumper respray. It seems to have had various things taped shut. Mirror missing, carbon fiber mirror surround, but the glass is missing itself. And then we've got a 612 Scaglietti, which is actually, it's the owner of the garage, it's his car. They've had this done, various things done to it before. So yeah, there's a Porsche Panamera by the looks of it. Yeah, Panamera in for front end respray. And then we've got all my car parts over here. So these are all my bits tucked away in the corner, waiting for my car to be ready. So could this be the worst? Quite possibly. So this car actually came into the workshop in this condition. Not original paint, as you can imagine. It has been repainted, and I think the guy was trying to sell this and he kind of gave up. So he's now stripping the paint off, but there was a mechanical problem with the car, which is the reason why it's come over here. Not a bad car otherwise. It looks like it was black originally, and it's kind of all been stripped. The interior is like horrible. Well, parts of it, the steering wheel's horrible, but yeah, not the prettiest of cars, but quite interesting. We've got the Arnage next to the Silver Spur, next to the Phantom. Phantom just dwarfs everything. In fact, the Silver Spur doesn't even look that large next to the Arnage, but the Phantom really does dwarf everything. Interesting, the Phantom and the Silver Spur are parked almost identical at the front, but you can see just how much bigger the Phantom is than the Silver Spur. And the Silver Spur is a long wheelbase version, I think, of the Silver... I forget my my Rolls Royces. But anyhow, you can see it looks a lot chunkier. Well, if one wrecked Bentley isn't enough, then here's another one. This one actually in the video doesn't look so bad, but trust me, this was really, really bad. The suspension is completely shot. It's just sitting down on its lowest setting. Probably the suspension isn't working at all. The exterior was just dead all over the place. It looked like it had literally been dragged out of the sand. And believe it or not, yours truly tried to buy this car. I was speaking to the owner of the garage. This was one of his customers' cars, and basically it wasn't for sale at any price. I mean, I even offered the guy what I thought was just way too much money considering its condition, and basically the guy said no. There's a story behind the car. The car was originally owned by Bentley Motors in the UK. It was stolen and then made its way over to, I think it was Italy and a few other countries before finally making it over to Saudi Arabia. Managed to get registered. This guy owned it from whenever it got registered. He bought it off whoever, and he just wanted to scrap it now. He didn't want anybody else to own it because of the history of the car. So there you have it, guys, a little tour around the workshop. The cars are changing here all the time, so in the future I'll also take some more footage of what they have in. They have some really interesting stuff in all the time, every time I'm there. Next week's episode is back on the Aston Martin. I'm going to continue with the restoration on that. So we'll dive into that next week. If you want to watch that, then do subscribe, like the video and share it too. Many thanks, and catch you in the next episode.